All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. This is obviously a special Zuffa Boxing Q&A ahead of UFC 327. Prohaska and Olberg, the ceremonial weigh-ins here at Kaseya Center in Miami, Florida. As you all know, the mission of Zuffa Boxing is to sign the very best talent from around the world and have them compete against each other. The best should fight the best. And it should be on the biggest stage. So I'm excited to announce that there are 2 new world-class fighters that have signed multi-fight promotional contracts with Zuffa Boxing, and they will make their respective Zuffa debuts this summer. First up, a 2016 Olympian from Brooklyn, New York, where else? He's an undefeated super lightweight belt holder with recent wins over George Kambosos Jr. and Liam Paro, picking on those Australians, Richardson. Please welcome Richardson Hitchins, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you, Richardson. And next, one of boxing's biggest punching action fighters, the super middleweight, also from Brooklyn. Put your hands together for Edgar Berlanga, ladies and gentlemen. See Edgar? Another one. What's your name?
Delvin.
All right, guys. All right, here we go. Let me start with you, Richardson. You're unbeaten. You seem to me to be entering your physical prime and to have made a step from prospect to elite fighter, now looking forward to seeing if you can actually reach a level of greatness, right? Why was this the right time for you to sign with Zuffa? What made this the right move for you?
I just feel like Zuffa is seeing my career the way I want to see my career. I feel like I've been with a lot of great promoters in the past, but I just feel like a lot of promoters didn't give me the opportunity to be built the right way and show the superstar that I am. And I feel like Zuffa believes in me, sees that, and that's what really made me just want to sign on that dotted line.
When you say built the right way, in boxing terms in the old days, that used to mean they take care of you, putting you in soft. But we see in Zuffa Boxing, you got to fight guys on your level or close to it anyway, even if you're the best. That's the right way for you? You want to fight the best?
Yeah, of course. I want to fight the best and not just fight the best. When I say, like, believing in me, I want a promoter to be screaming how Don King was screaming about Mike Tyson. I'm the best in the world, and nobody could beat me, and I'm pound for pound, because I feel like I'm one of them type of guys. So I think that with Zuffa, they're going to actually promote that this guy is America's or the world's best thing, and I think that's what I am.
Speaking of Mike Tyson and being promoted early in his career, although this predates Don King, I remember Mike started out, he was knocking everybody out so early. I remember him saying at one point, my right hand's my best shot, but I can't hit anyone with it because they all fall from the left hook. Edgar, you started your career with 16 straight first-round knockouts. I don't care who they put you in with. That's hard to do. That's why people basically don't do it. And then you went the distance with Canelo Alvarez eventually. What can fans expect from your Zuffa experience?
Oh man, you know, first and foremost, I want to thank Zuffa. I want to thank Dana White. I want to thank Nick Khan, you know, for this amazing opportunity. You know, for the fans, man, you know, I come with a lot of explosion. You know, superstar status, like I always say. You know, it's gonna be a big year for me. You know, we looking to chase belts, become world champ. and get that bag and continue to build a brand like I was telling Dana. You know, that's one thing that I loved about Dana. One thing about the UFC, you know, I always said it to everyone. I said that the UFC always, I felt like the UFC always had a better coordination. They had better, you know, promoting the fighters. You know, it's amazing, man, how much structure they have. And, you know, Dana coming to boxing, you know, that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, structure, organization. You feel like you're actually a professional athlete in a kind of a league, right? That's what I keep hearing from Zuffa fighters.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and I told Dana at the meeting, I said, Dana, you got the blueprint. You know, a lot of people could say whatever they want with UFC, but I feel like the UFC is the fastest growing sport in combat sports history. You know, listen, boxing been around for a long time, but they haven't seen somebody like Dana. And I feel like Dana has a chip on his shoulder, and, you know, he wants to prove the doubters wrong, just like me.
Meantime, you got a strap at 140 pounds, but you're still growing. I mean, you're a young guy. And you know, if you're a junior welterweight, Zuffa doesn't do the junior divisions. We're looking at 8 weight classes because we don't do the flyweights either. We do the cruiserweights. That means if you're with Zuffa, what does that mean?
I mean, right now I haven't made a decision right now of if I'm gonna go up or keep the belt. But like you said, I am growing, and I am open to going on to another weight class, getting world titles, and being the best at that weight class. I feel like I'm just happy. I'm excited. You know, I don't feel no way about it. If I have to go up, I'll go up. It is what it is.
You know, boxing fans do this sometimes. Some boxing fans up there, I don't know if any of you guys ever do this, and like they'll do this in boxing magazines or websites. They'll be like, what if there were no junior divisions, right? So they combine all the best fighters from the junior division, let's say junior welterweight, and you look at the list, you're like, oh my God, that's a division of killers, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to do at Zuffa. That's why we're trying to, you know, instead of all these little weight classes so that, and really, you know what that's about, sanctioning bodies trying to extract more sanctioning fees. That's the real reason there are junior weight classes for the most part. So given that, there are lots of names out there in and around your weight class. Tell me some of them on your hit list.
I think that, you know, a fight with me and Teofimo is still a big fight. And I heard of talks about maybe he might stay at 140, maybe he might go to 47. So me and him is kind of still like, you know, it's still possible that he's open to do it at 140 or 147. So guys like Devin Haney, you know, the last fight with Kambosos, I called him out. And I think that now I'm closing in to getting that fight because I feel like after these next few performances I put on, the fans going to be calling to see me versus Devin Haney, me versus Ryan Garcia, and all the best guys. So all 3 of them could get it. It don't matter.
Yeah, your win against Paro, which was a close, tough fight, looks pretty good given what he did against Matias. And then the way you finished Kambosos with the hook to the body, do you feel like that power and that, you know, stopping a guy with a left hook to the body, is that a new thing for you? Is that because you're entering your physical prime?
Nah, I don't think it's a new thing for me. I've been saying this for the longest time. I just feel like a lot of the guys and a lot of my peers, they have more experience as pros, fighting more often. If you look at my career, I had a lot of long layoffs. I'll be off for a year. This is another year off from me not being in the ring. So I just feel like it's just been a thing of me getting comfortable. Like, I remember even when me and Edgar used to be in the gym, and he used to be like, yo, like, you spar better than you fight. But he used to always say, like, when you get more comfortable, trust me, it's going to come together. And now you see with my fights, it's coming together.
Speaking of being together in the gym in Brooklyn when you were younger, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons Teo and you is interesting, because he is partly from Brooklyn. But you guys are from Brooklyn, like, through and through, right? Given the fact that you guys kind of came up together and now you're doing this at the same time, what's that like for you that you're going through this with Richardson?
Man, it's an amazing feeling, man. You know, I seen Richardson, you know, I started boxing at 7. Richardson started boxing at 12, but we was in the same gym. And it's a dream come true, you know, all glory to God, man. Being at this level, you know, with my brother, you know, this is the top. When you talk about boxing, when you talk about the pinnacle of boxing, we here. You know, and this is just a blessing, man. I'm excited, you know, to be here with my brother and share these moments with him.
Is it, as a Puerto Rican fighter out of Brooklyn, I mean, we've seen this before, and you can get enormous support from Puerto Rican fans. Hector Camacho did it, right? Not just, and what does that mean to you? Do you feel that? Do you feel any pressure or responsibility, or do you look at it just like it's all upside? Because if you can get that island behind you, you're an economic engine.
Oh no, for sure. You know, with me, man, you know, that was always been my goal and my thing. You know, turning pro is you know, winning the island. You know, and stacking up these wins, becoming champ. You know, it's a big shoe to fill. You know what I'm saying? You just mentioned Macho Camacho. He's a legend. You know, you mentioned you know.
I talk Camacho, he's from New York,
Yeah.
right? Like Trinidad's from the island. Yeah. Camacho was from New York and still had the whole island behind him.
Yeah, man, and it's tough, you know, because listen, one thing about Puerto Rico, man, you know, they don't really accept fighters from New York like that, you know. But with me and Camacho, they accepted us with open arms, you know. But like I said, it's a big shoe to fill. You know, I'm still young, I'm still hungry. You know, I'm in the sport, and you know, I got a lot to prove.
So we've been talking Brooklyn. What is it about Brooklyn? I mean, you can go back Mike Tyson and before, Mark Breland and Riddick Bowen, before you even get back to the old days. What is it about Brooklyn that keeps producing these fighters?
I don't know. I think it's just something about that aura, like just being a Brooklyn fighter, a New York type of person. Especially like, you know, when I was younger and I used to go away to the tournaments with all the other fighters, they used to hate New York fighters because we so arrogant, we talk the most shit, we flashy. And I feel like that's just what comes with being a New Yorker. Just like you talk a lot of shit, so you got to back it up. You got to fight. You just got to pop it. It's just like a aura type of thing. So I think that plays a lot in boxing. Like me being a champion from New York, I feel like it's more pressure on me than being a champion from Kansas or somewhere like that. You feel me? No, I just feel like it's a lot more.
New York boxers we're most hated, just because of I don't know how we dress and how we talk.
So before we open this up, you started your career, I mentioned, with 16 first-round knockouts. Now, in a way, you can be a victim of your own success. How do you get experience if everyone's going in the first round, right?
1,000%.
So the first time you fought a really big name, it was Canelo Alvarez. But you went the distance with him, right?
Yeah, it was an explosive fight.
Do you have anything to prove to the fans that remember the Berlanga who was knocking everyone out in the first round? Do you want to show them that you're still that guy? Or as a more experienced fighter, are you more comfortable just letting it come to you?
I mean, I think now it's time for me to bring that old Edgar back, you know what I'm saying, with the first round knockouts. I feel like, and it don't have to be necessarily first round, but just breaking people's faces, you know. Now we with Zuffa, you know, I got the UFC behind me, you know, and the boxing, you know, I feel like now is that time to just go back to the old Edgar and just start breaking these guys' faces, putting them on stretchers, sending them to the hospital.
And you know how Dana does it, bonus of the night, bonus for fight of the night, knockout of the night, all that. You're looking to get those bonuses?
Oh yeah, 1,000%, man. You know, like I said, I'm excited. You know, we got the UFC here, and one thing too, I want to thank all the fans, all the UFC fans that's here tonight. I thank you guys so much, man. I know you guys are big UFC fans, but we coming into this, you know, and it's family. You know, we in the combat sport, and I just want to thank you guys.
You know what was the dumbest thing that boxing media used to do back in the old days when UFC first showed up on the scene was they would hate on it. And it's like the UFC was making a whole new generation of combat sports fans. And I always feel like telling you guys out there who are into the UFC, you like combat sports, you like fights, come check boxing out, especially guys like this. Let's open this up to the media. Who has the first question from the media?
Max, straight up top right here.
Right there, good.
For both fighters, Richardson, I'll start with you, and the same question for Edgar. I guess what drew you to Zuffa Boxing? I know you talked about how you wanted a promoter to like take care of you and everything, but were there other options with other promotions, or did you approach Zuffa? Did they approach you? How did that relationship actually start?
Yeah, we definitely had other options when it comes to other promoters, but obviously, you know, the business part of things, we wasn't seeing eye to eye. I had other opportunities that promoters were telling me, like, this is the best deal, you won't find any better. And once Zuffa came to the table, we found something much better, and we went with what was, you know, the best for me.
Similar question for you, Edgar. Did you approach Zuffa? Did they approach you? And did you have other options with other promoters out there?
Yeah, for sure. You know, me and Richardson, we signed with the same manager, Keith Conley. You know, he's one of the best managers in the game right now in the sport of boxing. But yeah, you know, to be honest, man, we heard about Zuffa, and then, you know, with Paramount and the UFC and just everything, it just all made sense. you know, and I told Keith, I said, yo, Keith, I'm really messing with them. You know, I think that that Dana is a good asset to the sport now. You know, he's an amazing promoter. I feel like he promotes, he builds brands, and he knows what it's like to take a fighter from nothing and make him into a superstar. You know, he did a lot of times. He understands the main point of branding these fighters. You know, at the end of the day, we in there, we fighting. You know, we fighting for money, and you know, we want to build these brands. Yeah, I just wanted to make history. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Dana really fits in the right place with us. You know what I'm saying? On my team.
Who's next?
A couple more. Richardson, you know, from the outside looking in, I think we are accustomed to boxers chasing those 4 or 5 belts they want. There's obviously some confusion with the governing bodies and the addition of the Zuffa belt. So I guess for you, long term, what is the goal? Because immediately Zuffa Boxing, but long term.
I'm a legacy type fighter. I'm still chasing legacy. I still want to be the best in the world, #1 in whatever division I'm in. And I want to go down as one of the best fighters in my era when it's all said and done. And I think that in these next few fights, I'll get the opportunities to show my greatness, and that's what I'm chasing right now.
Similar question for Edgar. I guess what's long-term goal with you and Zuffa? Is it all the other belts? Is it the Zuffa belt? What are you chasing right now?
Yeah, I want to definitely become a world champ. You know, I was telling that to Dana. I told him, I said, listen, man, you know, I want to become champ. I think that, you know, this year, you know, is that time to become champ, you know, and really mark my name in the sport of boxing, and especially at the 168 division. And, you know, sky's the limit, man. And I know Dana, I got a great team. You know, I got one of the best promotions now behind me. And, you know, we're going to go to the top.
And finally, just a question for you, Max, you know, to circle back to what you said before, there are probably a lot of fight fans that will watch Zuffa because of its relationship to the UFC. Maybe they don't watch other boxing. What is it about the 2 fighters next to you that they should tune in? Because records are cool, knockouts are cool, but what is it about these 2 specifically?
Well, Richard, let me start with Edgar. Edgar started his career with 16 straight knockouts that captured the public's imagination, period. Because lots of guys have been matched easy to start their careers. In fact, almost every professional boxer ever is built that way. Almost all of them in the beginning. Well, how come no one else has scored 16 straight to start their careers, right? I mean, I can name you fighters. I won't, but I can if you ask.
There's none.
I'm saying who went to 50-0, 53-0, right? And you know why they got to that, right? But who has scored 16 straight in the first round? Watching it on ESPN, I was part of those broadcasts from the studio sometimes. It's comical, actually, like he's going to get another guy out in the first round. So that captured the public's imagination. Then, of course, he gets matched tougher. Well, as you get matched tougher, the knockouts will slow down. This goes for everyone ever, just about, right? But in Edgar's case, he really was the victim of his own success. He had almost no by his 17th fight, he had virtually no professional experience, right? How many rounds had he actually fought? So now he's being put in tougher. He has to figure it out on the fly, and it doesn't look the same. And then eventually gets the shot at Canelo Alvarez and goes the distance with Canelo. That's very hard to do, especially for aggressive fighters, because people think of Canelo later in his career as a seek and destroy guy. Canelo is one of the great counterpunchers of all time. So if you have an aggressive style, that can really bite you against Canelo. Edgar went the distance with him. And that shows something that you can't show from the first round knockouts. It shows a level of character. So that's Edgar Berlanga, and I think now the question is the seek and destroy guy still in there who can get everybody out of there, and that's going to be interesting to watch. Richardson Hitchins was the kind of prospect that early in their careers, it's hard to tell who's going to rise to what level. Because a lot of guys are fast, a lot of guys have good amateur backgrounds, a lot of guys have a good jab and look like they can do different things and have a certain level of athletic ability. You need to see them as they get matched tougher to see who actually rises, who has the subtle skill, who has the bag that's deep enough that when the opponents make adjustments, they readjust. And what he's done in his last several outings is show that. Show that he is not just a good fighter, he's a very good fighter. He's an elite fighter. And now the question is, can he become a great fighter? And that's what we're going to find out at Zuffa. Anyone else? Who we got?
Yeah, Edgar over here. So I saw you were at the New York Knicks game. You got invited to DJ Khaled's 50th birthday. What has it been like dealing with the growth and fame, considering you still have a family, have things to take care of?
And that's a good question. You know, just taking it day by day. You know, I'm young, I'm 28 years old, and you know, fame came very fast, especially when I started, you know, building up this first round knockout spree. You know, I'm still the hottest thing smoking, but you know, when I was on that streak, man, you know, you talk about all the celebrities, every celebrity that you can name of was in my DM on my phone, you know, and I had to learn how to cope with fame. You know, just putting God first, walking with the Lord, you know, definitely helped me. But you know, I love it, man. I'm not shy away. I'm not shying away from anything. You know, I love the lights. I love the cameras. You know, I love popping shit. You know, and this is an entertainment at the end of the day. You know, a lot of fans, especially boxing fans, you know, that's one thing I love about the UFC. You know, because the UFC fans, you know, these fighters can have 5, 6 losses, and you guys still loyal to your favorite fighter. You know, what boxing is like, when we take a L, it's like, oh, he's finished, he's done. You know, he ain't nothing, he ain't going nowhere. You know, and that's not what it is. So you know, just coping with that, and like I said, yeah, man, it's an amazing run. You know, and I love it. I love the fame.
I'm going to add something to what Edgar just said. Because when I mentioned earlier, we've seen guys get to 50, 53 and 0. I'm not talking about who you think I might be talking about. There are some fighters who've gotten to 49 and 0 and 50 and 0 and are great, great fighters. Because what the O represents is that they fought everyone and they somehow beat all of them, which is almost impossible to do. Almost no one does that. What people have done in boxing is kind of reverse engineer their own legacy, or try to, by picking and choosing so carefully. Before, when I mentioned 53 and 0, it's a guy none of you have ever heard of, trust me. I don't want to shout him out because like I'm insulting him, but he eventually lost fights, but he had 1 million wins, because if you select the opponents carefully enough, you can stay undefeated. We can get a promoter and you would be an undefeated fighter if you select the opponents carefully enough. And that's supposed to be significant, because the implication is you've beaten everybody, when in fact in modern boxing a lot of times they've beaten nobody. And what Edgar is saying, and what Richardson Hitchins is willing to do to put his undefeated record on the line, is to fight guys on their level. That's when the record is important. A loss is not the end of the world. You can come back, because if you do that, almost everybody loses. But if you somehow remain undefeated, again, almost impossible, it's meaningful. It doesn't mean what it means in modern boxing. It will actually mean something. Who's up?
Another one for Richardson. So have you had any discussions with the IBF about the status of your title, or are you just locked in on getting that Zuffa belt?
Right now, I have I think a purse bid I'm going to, or something going with the IBF for my mandatory. So we haven't got into talks, or like I said, made any decision if I'm gonna move up or keep my IBF world title. But anything I gotta do, I'll do it. Like I said, I'm just happy for this opportunity from Dana White and Nick Khan. You know, I seen what Dana did with the UFC, just turning the sport into a huge, huge sport. And I feel like Dana's gonna come to boxing and bring more eyes to boxing, and just bring more light to fighters like me and fighters like Edgar. So I'm excited for that.
And one for Max. How important are the signings of Edgar and Richardson to the future of Zuffa Boxing?
They are important pieces in an ongoing process, important bricks in the wall. You know, there are lots of world-class fighters in the world. These are 2 of them, and I think that what Richardson just said is right. What I hear so often from the guys on the prelims in Zuffa, we're up to Zuffa 6 in May, Zuffa Boxing 6, is they feel they're being treated like professional athletes for the first time. And Richardson Hitchins, 50 years ago, guys on this level were known to the American public. Most professional fighters can walk down the street and will not get recognized by the American public. That's about to change. And I think these guys are excited to be a part of it, to feel like you're getting in basically on the ground floor of something that's going to build. We went from Zuffa 1, the next night it was UFC, I'm not even remembering the number, 232 maybe? And it was sold out at the MGM. And I looked around and I thought, we fought, I don't know, like there were a bunch of guys fighting in front of maybe 1,000 people at Zuffa 1. And then UFC 130, whatever it was, 230, whatever it was sold out 20,000 people. And it was clear that this is where we are, but that's where we're going. And in order to get there, you need fighters like Richardson Hitchins and Edgar Berlanga. Who's up?
Well, here for both Hitchins and Berlanga. Obviously, this is a big MMA crowd, so just wondering, from what you've seen in the UFC, who do you think is the best boxer right now in MMA?
In MMA, I love John Jones. I love John Jones. I love Conor McGregor too. That's what he's one of my favorites. I love Jose Aldo, right? Another, yeah. Anderson Silva.
Edgar, you hear what he said? Someone yelled out, he's a casual. Can I tell you boxing fans something? And UFC fans and all fans? At Zuffa Boxing, we want all the casuals. All the casuals. The problem with boxing right now is you got a couple 100,000 hardcore and not enough casuals. You turn on an NFL game, 70 million people are watching. How many think are hardcore? Mostly they're casuals. That's how you build a successful sport. And you do it with fighters like this who are fun to watch. Anyone can understand when Edgar Berlanga was knocking out everybody in the first round. You don't need to be a hardcore boxing fan to understand that. Oh, what? He just smashed that dude. Everyone understands that. It's a universal language. So welcome all the hardcore, welcome all the casuals. What's the question from Richardson?
I think my favorite fighter would probably be Sean O'Malley. I like Sean O'Malley a lot. I think he got good hand game, and I like Conor McGregor. But, yeah, I like Sean O'Malley hand game for sure.
Was the question who's the best or who's their favorite?
He said something about their hand game, like who we think the best fighters are, right?
Who do they find has the best boxing?
Yeah, boxing.
Oh, best boxers who are MMA fighters. They got it. Gaethje's pretty good with his hands. Gaethje's a tough guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ilya can. The difference is with UFC fighters and boxers, their hand game is good, but the defense while they fight they just don't have enough time to devote like a boxer because they have so many other disciplines that they have to be familiar with. Who's next?
For Edgar. Edgar, you said you want to stay at 168. There is no 168 division, and Zuffa does have a lot of 175 pounders, solid 175. Could we ever see you fight at 175?
Yeah, I got the height, and I'm a big boy. 175 is cool. It's a cool weight class. Those guys are not big, and even if I have to move up the cruiserweight or heavyweight, I'll do it. That's why we in the fight game, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of fighters. Not trying to, talk about my brother, but like a lot of fighters try, protect their and with us, and even, like the MMA fans, you guys know how it is, man. Like, fighters takes L's, and you going out there and you risking everything, and you going out there and you gambling. So yeah, for sure, 175 is cool.
One more for you. You fought for some of the biggest promoters. Dana White says he wants to make this the NFL, he wants to make boxing like the NFL. How big do you see Zuffa Boxing getting?
The biggest. I feel like Dana's about to take boxing to another level. He's gonna show through us, through me and Richardson and Conor Ben and the other guy that fights at cruiserweight, and whoever else is signed to Zuffa that
Opataya.
Yeah, that guy. He's a beast. That how you build superstars. And yeah, man, Dana's the man. And shout out to the MMA fans. I love you guys for real, man.
Sure.
Shout out to you guys for sure.
Thank you for, embracing us. And like I said, we're going to bring the biggest fights to boxing, a lot of entertaining. I think that me and my brother Edgar, the fights that we got coming in the summertime, I think it's going to be back-to-back knockouts. Facts.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we're going to start it off right.
We want to steal the MMA fans too. I want to, we need that support.
And when you score a knockout in Zuffa Boxing, you did something because you're in with a tough guy. You're in with a guy who's there to push you. It's not easily done. Last one. Are we good? Who are you pointing to? All right, go ahead.
Oh, my shirt? My shirt is my boy brand, my boy Dar. It's called Simplicity. Yeah, it's fire. You could go, you go get it online. It's definitely a hard-ass tee. You jack the swag, right? You like it? Yeah, look, see? That's that New York shit.
We good? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out today.
Thank you.
Richardson, Hitchins, Edgar, Berlanga, the next step for Zuffa Boxing.
Let's go.